Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Monday, December 16th. Hey, I don't want to be counting too much for you guys, but less than 10 days, 9 days till Christmas, man. I hope you're ready. A lot of things happening out there in the marketplace when it comes to trade. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. Not much on the earnings front, though. And so I hope that your weekend was good and you didn't have too much hustle and bustle out there. So, hey, as we head into the holiday season, remember, we're here to help you make sure that your portfolio doesn't have too much risk. And so give us a call at 863-382-0037 if we can help in any way. Hey, Dave will be with us here in just a moment.
Light FM, that is Dan and Shay there. Good morning. I got 63 degrees now. There's sunshine in the hood. We're at 8:38 now. We'll see a high in the low 80s this afternoon. Let's check in on your money, see what's going on Wall Street this morning. Friday, net wasn't very doggone much. All the major indexes ended up flat off of what you'd expect to be some pretty doggone good news. Let's see what the reaction looks like today. Downtown Sebring, we go to the offices of Statler Financial Services. Phillip Statler standing by. Phillip, good morning and happy Monday.
Hey, good morning, Dave. Sounds like you're a little stuffy there. You must have caught a cold over the weekend.
Yeah, I did, unfortunately. It came in on me on Saturday. It just kind of made me feel stupid. I don't react well to cold meds, so I'm kind of buzzing on Dayquil today. Friday was kind of interesting, and I don't know for sure, but I think about 10 a.m. was when the news came out that we have a deal with China. Everything's hunky-dory. Everything's going to be great. Market went way up. Market went way down. It ended up to the point where the Dow was, let me see here, up, what do we have, 0.3% at the $3.33 at the end of the day.
Yeah, it was at 0.01%.
Yeah, boy, was that an impressive reaction to something that we were in panic city about for 6, 8, 10 months before that. We finally get the deal, and all of a sudden we say, oh, okay, and then do nothing for the rest of the day.
Well, I think that's true, and the people probably had to decipher what that deal really meant, what got changed from that standpoint. The other thing is that they've had a little time to digest it over the weekend, so the futures at least are looking much better today.
That's absolutely true. It's kind of something we were talking right before we went on the air about. The only thing I can think of that would prompt the markets to respond to the announcement of a trade deal with China being basically to the point of dotting I's and crossing T's and nothing more is we'd pretty well baked in the assumption over the last week or so as we were recovering from that last little dip that we knew what was going to happen. We knew Trump was going to end up coming up with a reason to put off the tariffs at the end of the week, and everything was going to be fine. So then when they did it, it was no surprise whatsoever. They'd already baked it in, I gather.
Well, I'm thinking so. And like I said, they didn't have time to really, hash through. And I don't know that anybody's really hashed through what the details look like when it comes to this deal. But remember, this is just the first wave. This is not hey, we're 100% done yet. There's still a lot more work to be done after this first phase.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they haven't even found the clause in there where we give them Puerto Rico,
Yeah, did you find it?
Yeah, it's in there. Clause 17B sub 3 actual. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a big deal is the bottom line. I'm obviously being flip about Puerto Rico. The other trade thing that came in over the weekend is big accomplishment last week. The Congress ended up passing through the president's trade agreement with Canada and Mexico, except they made some modifications, and over the weekend, Mexico's trade minister says, whoa, Seabiscuit. The Democrats quietly put in a nod for unions, saying that we could have inspectors go down there to make sure that their workers get a chance to vote fairly on unionizing factories down in Mexico. And I don't know how big a monkey wrench it is, but Mexico is having a rather loud litter of kittens over that, according to what I'm reading.
Well, I would think so, because they thought the deal was basically done. And then you've got Congress going in there and meddling and making changes to an agreement that everybody thought was pretty much a done deal. Just sign the dotted line and let's send this thing on over and get this thing going. Because, how long has this been floating around there, Dave? It's been a substantial amount of time that this deal's been put together and thought pretty much a done deal.
Absolutely. And Mexico is now saying, oh, wait a minute, look up sovereignty in the dictionary. It's a legitimate thing they've been trying to fix, by the way. We were talking heads over the weekend. A couple of people in opposition to the free trade agreement were saying, hey, wait a minute, we've gone through a great big bull market. Everything's going great economically. So we're running a trade deficit with Mexico. Yeah, but the problem with the trade deficit with Mexico is the fact that we're basically buying our own stuff back from Mexico that we have assembled down there because of lower labor rates.
No, exactly. Yeah, that you're right. You're right. We ship a lot of parts over there for them to put together, and then they get shipped back to us. So that is a problem, and I think that's a lot of what was supposed to be worked out through this whole deal.
Absolutely. So the Democrats in Congress, in a nod to the UAW, came up with the notion of, hey, let's send a few lackeys down there to help the unions get a fair shake down there, and that kind of made Mexico say, wait a minute here, and they're not impressed at all. So we've got some thickening like cold Irish stew going on that. Anything else that's going to affect the markets this week? I'm kind of assuming third week of the month we've got a relatively quiet week ahead.
No, actually, we don't, Dave. There's some big stuff comes out on not until Friday, but it comes out on Friday. We've got the final estimate of GDP comes out on Friday.
That's going to be critical. I didn't realize it was this week.
Yeah, it comes out on Friday before the holidays. Because let's face it, after Friday, everything's pretty much shut down for the rest of the year with holidays.
That's pretty close to certain on that. Yeah, the GDP number for the last quarter was one of those we got originally somewhat disappointed by, then buoyed a little bit on the second estimate. If they continue to revise it upward, we could have a Merry Christmas season when they shut down for the Christmas holiday weekend.
Well, you're right. We really could. I mean, that's going to be the key thing to me is what does that number come in at? We had the Empire manufacturing number come out today. It was not as much of an increase as was hoped for. That number is a 3.5, which was an increase over last time it was reported, but still the anticipation was that it would be a 4.0. So kind of a little bit of miss there on the Northeast, kind of that regional manufacturing number.
Yeah, the formula the New York Fed uses to come up with that number is almost too heavy for a doctorate to explain. I don't get it at all. But bottom line is anything under 5 is not considered positive. Over 5 is considered boom times, everything being relative. It's an improvement, which kind of adds to that narrative you and I have been seeing in terms of all these data points now for months. There's no indication of a recession. We're growing at this point in time, but there's a definite slowing to the growth rate.
Yes, absolutely. We're seeing that growth is slowing down, which, we've been talking about now for most of this year, it seems like.
We can almost tape this occasionally because the story seems to be almost the same every time, doesn't it?
It does. And, we're kind of at the end of earnings season because there's really no companies reporting right now. So, the only little blurb I saw was I did see this on, we haven't talked about Boeing much lately. Let's just kind of put a little jab in there on them.
They were getting hurt for a while last week, I know, and I didn't really catch why.
Well, they're dealing with trying to figure out this whole 737 deal, the MAX production, whether or not they're going to just one thing I saw, they may just go ahead and scrap it. I mean, it sounds like I don't know. They just can't figure out what they're doing there.
Rename it 737 Bob or something and read through the darn it needs enough. It's getting to be kind of like Tylenol was right after that poisoning thing they had about 25 years ago. For a little while, that was not a name people wanted to go near, even though there was nothing wrong with the product after they got it cleaned out. This might be one of those times where changing the name of the darn plane and remarketing it wouldn't be a bad idea, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea, Dave. But hey, we'll have to watch to see how that thing comes out. Who knows where we'll end up. With Boeing, they're just really struggling.
Understood. So resetting the table for the day. Friday was, well, we were alluding to it, a basic nothing day on the major indexes. The Dow was up a rock-crushing 3 points. Standard & Poor's was up, oh my goodness, 23 cents. NASDAQ, that's a little bit more import sensitive, was up by 0.2%, up 17.5, which the nosebleed territory we're at. really means we went nowhere. It needs to be mentioned that all three of the major indexes did hit new intraday all-time highs, so it was a good day, just ended up being a kiss-in your sister day at the end of it all. 45 minutes before we start trading this morning, Phillip, what do the trends look like so far?
So they're heading up today, Dave, and pretty good numbers today. The Dow's up 73 points, about 1/4%. NASDAQ and S&P 500 up a little over 0.5%. And so things are looking well on that side. I find it interesting, though, that the VIX is up 17% this morning. That gives me some concern going into this week as to what that might produce in terms of volatility within the market. We've got.
I wonder if that was caused by that seismograph we had in the markets on Friday when the trade agreement first got released, because it went way up, way down, and then went right back to flat.
You know, it could be, but these are kind of the future numbers. So so it could be that's what's causing some of it there. We've got gold's basically flat, silver's up 0.5%, and unfortunately, Dave, crude oil now is up over 60 at $60.16 a barrel.
Well, poop. I've noticed the bonds are going down in yield, indicating that we're buying a few bonds. That indicates a flight to safety. The 10-year Treasury bill was up to 1.9%. It's now back down 5 basis points to 1.85 on my ticker this morning. So we've got some smarter money that we've got even looking at saying, wait a minute, let's see what goes on. That tends to give us an indication too, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. It gives us an idea of where money's flowing to.
Absolutely. A little bit of reticence in Asia over our good news on trade as well. Both Japan and Hong Kong traded down at the close this morning. Europe is saying, thank God we're getting something out of Brexit, even though we may not like the results. All of their indexes trading up healthy, as a matter of fact, midway through the trading day in Europe. Phillip, somebody needs some advice to stabilize things and figure out why the smart money's moving into bonds for a day or so, it looks like in here. That takes an expert to take an unbiased look at a retirement portfolio. How do I get that look from you?
Then give us a call at 863-382-0037. Catch our website at statlerfinancial.com, and then join us every weekend for the Statler Financial radio show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturdays, 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings on News Talk 730 a.m.
All righty, and back here again tomorrow on Light FM. Phillip, thank you so much. You have a good day.
All right, man, you too.
Thank you. It's 105.7 Light FM.
Hey, folks, I want to thank you for joining us today. I hope you got a little something out of the not much news out there day. But I hope you have a great week. I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow.